So I just want to touch briefly on what IP address is and the different types of IP addresses. So an IP address is just a unique identifier for a host, and your host can be a computer or a server. So it's just given, just as you have your ID card, you have your ID number attached to it. That ID number identifies you as the individual to, or the individual you are to that ID card. So that is just what an IP address is in a general sense. Now, this is not attached to hardware. It is a software address. So it is attached to the software of the host. An IP addresses consist of 32, and these 32 bits are divided into 4 sectors. You hear people talk about octets. Those are the different sectors. So each octet is divided into, and dividing that into 4, you have 32 divided by 8, you have 4 different octets. And below here, we could see an example of a dot decimal IP address, 172.32.36. And below, you could have a binary notation. This binary notation corresponds to this dot decimal. This binary notation corresponds to this dot decimal IP address notation. And below, we have a hexadecimal representation of the same IP address. So we have different IP addresses, which are unique identifiers for a host, which could be a computer or a server. And this IP addresses, they're used to identify the host by giving it 2 different components. You have the host and you have a network. So you have the host, which identifies the origin of the address, and you have the network, which are the components within the communication zone of that network. And this IP addresses can be broken down into subnets, which is what we'll be looking at. And to do that, we use subnet mask, which is used to identify the network and the host. And they're typically written in the IPv4 or the IP version 4. So we have the IPv6 and we have the IPv4. The IPv6 is the new IP version, which we have now because we're running out of the IPv4 version.